All right, hello everybody. Recently, I returned from Burning Man, and without the least exaggeration, it was the most life-affirming week of my existence. Burning Man is basically the opposite of war. We're a bunch of, because okay, one, real life is really, really real. It is. Might not be always obvious, but it is. And so Burning Man, a bunch of people get together with a certain outlook, mentality, intention about what they're doing, and they're like, all right, let's see how awesome we can be and how awesome we can be to each other. Let's see if we can create the intensity of real life, which you might experience, say, in a wartime setting, but with love and goodwill and connection and etc. And let's see if we can make that work. And it fucking works. It's like Burning Man is like over the top, what the fuck, in the best possible way. All right, so I could spend hours literally describing all the many special experiences I recently had in the desert. In this video, I want to be focused. There are two special experiences that I wanted of mine, which I want to tell their stories here in this video. One of them is focused on just human beings connecting with each other, all right? So, look at my shirt here. It says, socially fucking awkward as fucking fuck. This shirt, I wore it out in the desert. I've been wearing it in a variety of situations. The shirt more or less sums up the last 12 or 13 years of my efforts to connect with other human beings. I have a mild form of schizophrenia. It messes with my head. It can be hard to be around people, the way it's like people in the same room as me. This messes with my freaking head in a million different ways. And so it's been, an effort, a challenge to connect with other human beings. And then, then there's special circumstances, okay, all human beings want to connect with other human beings. And really, I mean, nobody says they want more superficial, conversations. Like everyone, if you ask them, they're going to say, yeah, they want more meaningful, more significant, more, just more meaningful quality, higher quality connections with other human beings. And I was talking to lots of people at Burning Man, other people who also have had difficulty connecting with people, forming relationships, finding community, and they, all have comparable experiences. They go to Burning Man, any special situation like Burning Man, and suddenly they connect with other human beings at a higher, or a more meaningful, deeper level than they ever had under any other circumstances. And it's amazing how much of this connection you can compact into 1 week of experience. And myself, I have this really intense schizophrenic spectrum anxiety. Then I go to Burning Man, and suddenly it's the present moment becomes so present that suddenly the present becomes so real in my connecting with people, and suddenly I'm having such meaningful, authentic, sincere quality connections with people, conversations, etc., all kinds of interactions, and I forget, the anxiety becomes essentially non-existent, or nearly so. And it's and then I'm like, oh wow, this is who I am beyond the anxiety. When I transcend the anxiety, this is what life is. This is who I am. It's so good. It was wow. Okay, so I'll get back to that. Connecting with people. Okay, one special moment which I really, really want to describe. I would love to keep this video under 15 minutes. It's probably not going to happen. But at Burning Man, there are two main birds. There's the burning of the man and the burning of the temple. Okay, the burning of the man's a giant effigy of a man. The temple is a giant building, a wooden building. And okay, the burning of the man on Saturday night is a very boisterous, rambunctious affair. It's super masculine, lots of cheering and shouting and explosions and hella fireworks and techno and people staying up all night and just raging. It's a crazy party. It's just so loud and boisterous and festive and woo! The burning of the temple is essentially an opposite vibe, feeling, mood, quality. And just if you've not been to Burning Man, all right. So I'm going to describe the temple. It's an interactive building, installation art. Contemplation of the frailty and transience of life and the mystery of it all right? So the temple this year is basically a giant cornucopia, a big building with spiral around. And on the walls of the temple at Burning Man, every year, there are all kinds of messages and photographs and postcards and totems and all kinds of things. And most of these messages and photographs and totems, they're directed towards those who have passed away. The temple is there to inspire, to evoke, reflections upon, contemplations of the mystery of life and of death and those fundamental spiritual things. And so there's all kinds of like altars and messages and postcards directed towards those who have passed away, or weird little scribblings on the walls of the temple that are meant to just like to, you know, reflect upon or to affirm like fundamental mysteries about the, you know, life, reality, and no one really knows what reality is or what it's doing. All right, nobody really does. And so the temple really has a solemn, sacred feel to it. And so the burning of the temple on Sunday night is so hushed, it's so like, oh man, like this, it was like so quiet, really. 60,000 people, and it's so quiet, and somebody might shout something, somebody might be chanting or put out a prayer, or maybe, you know, they send off some words of well-wishing to somebody who's passed away, and it's like, but God, it was so intense for me this year. Honestly, I did not expect it. Even now, I don't completely understand it. Whatever words I'm using to convey are not going to be adequate, but like I like broke down into really intense tears while the temple was burning. I like cried into a friend's shoulders for a few minutes, and I really cried with a lot of energy. And the most amazing thing is, looking back, is that never, like, this is the first, like, okay, throughout all my years of existence, whenever I've cried with such intensity, with such emotion, it was like some form, some inflection of self-pity. This time at the temple, like, it was not, like, I was not crying for myself. Somehow, like, it was so utterly spontaneous, but I was crying for the people around me, for the hushed, whatever experience I had of what everyone else was experiencing. This is really hushed, solemn, sacred, spiritual group experience. And at the same, and also really the best phrase that I think just describes whatever it was I was feeling. It just felt the sacredness of life in the quiet of this crowd and the shared experience and reflections upon death. The sacredness of life was so intense, so sincere, it made me fucking cry. It gripped me. And it was also, you know, the sacredness of life and the profundity of death and the mystery of death and how life and death are intertwined. I mean, that was just like, became so present, so wow. And like, even now, I'm like, I can feel these moments. These moments, this experience. I don't understand it, but I know it was real, and I know it's crying for something bigger than myself, other than myself. It's special. Then you know, as the temple, you know, broke down, and there's, you know, more flattish pile of embers and stuff. People were allowed to get closer to it, and then, man, that was such a special thing. Like, all these thousands of people, like, having this shared, solemn, hushed group experience, yet each and every person was expressing it or experiencing it in their own way. You know, somebody would, there's people with Tibetan ringing bowls, or somebody, you know, with Palo Santo or sage, all kinds of incense. Somebody had some weird stick they were shaking. People were walking counterclockwise around, you know, the embers, the ruins, and some people were dancing naked. Many people were praying or meditating. Some people were cuddling or sleeping. Like, every individual was still experiencing this group experience in their own unique way. You know, and it's just like, it was, God, so ineffably, inconceivably special and sincere. The burning of the temple. It's like, holy shit. You know, it's like, you know, if you can, I don't know, it's like any experience. You know, you can only communicate so much. Words are not impotent. Words are meaningful, but yeah, they're very limited. And all right, so that was like the one special moment I wanted to, you know, focus on in this video. And then there's like, okay, another special, you know, that whole temple thing. And the other special moment I want to look at. All right, okay, so it began as an inspiration. It was like around the embers of the man, Saturday morning before the temple was burned. It was around sunrise. There was like maybe 200. I'd stayed up all night, and there's maybe 200 people or so around the embers of the man, and it was such a serene, okay, tranquil, good vibe. Like, the energy, everyone there was radiating positive energy and like towards and good vibes towards each other. There was such sincerity and happiness and goodwill. Like, oh wow, it was such an amazing vibe. And then the sunrise, the sun came up, and as soon as the sun peeked up over the horizon, people were cheering, woo, woo, you know, and then like I had all kinds of conversations with people, and then I ended up hugging a girl who was wearing a suit made entirely out of stuffed animals, and she joked, I guess I'm everyone's childhood memories, ha 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 ha, you know, and then that, like, you know, was a seed that led from one creative association to another, and suddenly I had the inspiration. It's like, oh, I can go back to my van, grab my digital voice recorder, and then I can like approach individual people and ask them to describe a special moment or experience that they've had here out in the desert of Burning Man. And, it took me a few hours to actually get into this, but the clarity of this, it was so clear-headed, and it was so, yes, I really want to do this. And so then, once I took a nap and had a snack, and I biked back out onto the open desert, and I approached individual people with my digital voice recorder, and I'd be like, I'd bike up with somebody. I'd be like, hey, brother, hey, sister, how are you? I'd start a conversation, and then I'd go into a little spiel, which presented itself to me in that moment. Life is made out of stories. The whole universe is made out of stories, and each and every one of us, in our own way, we embody a unique story, unlike any other story that exists anywhere that's ever taken place. And is my heartfelt belief, I believe it because I know it to be true. It is my heartfelt belief that each and every one of us is a talented storyteller in our own way. Not all of us realize it, but every human being is a talented storyteller in their own way. And what I want for you to do, brother or sister, or whatever name they gave me, is I would really appreciate it. I really love it if you would just describe a special moment or experience you've had here out at Burning Man in the last week. And if you're okay with that, I'd like to record it in my digital voice recorder. And I did this for over an hour with maybe 10 people in 90-degree weather. And what the most really cool thing is about this is that I would approach people, inviting them, heartfeltly, sincerely, to describe special moments, and then suddenly those interactions themselves became special moments. It's like this weird little fractal lattice thing of special moments intertwined and such. And I want to describe one just to illustrate just how awesome Burning Man can be. One, of these interactions, right? Biked up to somebody, I'd be like, hey, brother, how are you? I went into my spiel, made out of stories, described a special moment. And this guy, the way he presented it, the way he told it is that he was still so thoroughly, enmeshed in the middle of this Burning Man experience, was that he was simply not prepared to describe it, but that he could speak a few words about love. And I'm like, all right, sure, tell me a few words about love, And to me, love usually is spiritual. When I use the word love, I usually think of spiritual love, but, sometimes people are referring to romantic love. Anyway, I hit record, and he began to talk for about 5 or 6 minutes. He told a story about 2 years ago. He met a girl, and this girl and they had a really, meaningful, intense connection. Apparently this girl affected him to the deepest contours of his being, of his soul, of his consciousness. And he lived with her for a month, and then, he lived in New York City, and she had to move out of New York State, and he made the decision to not go with her, but to remain in New York City in order to pursue a career as an actor. And he told me that he felt he had made the right choice, but that he lived, the last 2 years, he's carried an intense sorrow, intense pain, regret about this decision to remain, in New York City and giving up this, a relationship with this girl, because a long-distance relationship is not going to work. And we can all have our own perceptions or opinions about this, okay? But, this is how he presented it. For the last 2 years, he's carried this intense suffering with him over this decision, and maybe I'm the only person who's ever told the story to. I really don't know. I have no idea. And then, I, click stop on my digital voice recorder, and then I attempted to give him some advice, because there's no need to carry around some heavy burden for 2 years. There's ways to let go of suffering and to move beyond it and to grow, but I don't think I gave him good advice as far as that goes. But, we continued the conversation, and then we hugged. And when we hugged, he broke down, into heavy sobbing. He cried into my shoulders. He just cried with such intensity. Holy moly. And I encouraged him. I'm like, these tears are healing. Please keep crying. Brother, you're beautiful. I told him he's beautiful because he is beautiful. He's beautiful at this very moment. He cried for 2 minutes, 3 minutes. And then, we, ended up wishing each other blessings, and we went on our special way. Then after that, I'm kind of in awe at the whole interaction, because we're two human beings who had never met before, strangers, quote unquote. And then suddenly we had this really meaningful, sincere interaction. And the most extraordinary thing is at Burning Man, such meaningful connections between two people who never before have ever met. That's simply ordinary. Okay, I mean that's ordinary at Burning Man, and and that just, that's just, one example of it, but like that kind of thing could happen like every day potentially, even more than once a day for somebody at Burning Man. Like it really is like a so special in terms of how it like empowers people to go beyond themselves, whatever their prior limitations or inhibitions or histories or whatever, and to actually connect with other human beings in just better, more meaningful ways. And for me, like, approaching 10 or so people, asking them, inviting them to tell the stories of special moments, and then having special moments just spontaneously emerge from that. That led to my main personal revelation from, this Burning Man experience, which is the other, thing I want to focus on in this. I'm focusing on this video, is that I realized just how with just new clarity and energy, with a new level of clarity and energy, I realized just how empowered, just how capable I am to proactively create or to seek special moments with other human beings. I'm still processing that, but I'm like, oh wow, I am completely empowered to proactively try to seek out or co-create really, higher, better levels of meaning, of connection with other human beings. And so that's, it's my other special moment. And this is Mr. Boot Monster, Mr. Bear. I brought them both out in the desert. They both had fun. Anyway, I love you all for existing. Peace.